Ljóts bið ég allar helgar kyndir, meiri og minni mögu heimdalar. Vilt vad jag val föder vel för tälja. Fornspjögl fyra þá fremst mann. Hár var alla það rýmir byggði. Vara sannur nje sær nje svala haunni. Jörð var eigin nje upp himin. Gott var ginnunga en gråsvergi. Soltör sortna sig follimar. Kvörv av himni heiðar stjörnur. Gæsar æmi víðaldr norra. Lækrár hiti við himin sjálfan. Bræður mun berjast og bönum verðast. Månsystrångar sövi om spedla. Skölvur Yggdrasils askstandande. Ymrit aldna trän jotun lossnar. Kaurnogar mjök fyrir nýpa höndlir. Föstur mun slítna en freki rinna. Fjöld veit hún freyða og framsjörg lengra. Ragnar og kröm sig tívar. Ser hon uppkomma öðr og sinni. Jörð og rægið grönna. Fodlar forsar flygrar nývir. Sáar og fjalli Förskolodig var drottir bygg jag och maldur daga indis njuta Ljudsbyrger gadlar helgar kindir Meiri og minni Möguheim dalar Vilt vad jag val föder vel fyrtälja Fornsbjöll fyra þá
Okay, am I now muted?
Okay, you're good.
Ah, God damn it. That was on OBS. Apparently for some reason when I have it set to default sometimes it tends to forget what device I'm using. So that's why that ended up happening.
Shameful display!
From the tops, introduce the people.
One more time.
I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra. With me, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 good brothers. Ha 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 ha! Hey, I didn't want to go with the count. I wanted to go with a little bit of gorillas this time.
That'll work.
And we have the biggest head in Chicago, the bane of NPCs, the foreman of the salt mine, and the man who is currently laughing at not one but 2 Canada teams for choking. Good brother Aaron. We have the evil eye, the man who is this week not late and gay. Good brother Doku. We have the man who is rubbing salt in the wounds of Leafs fans everywhere. Good brother Matty.
How you doing, Steve Dangle?
And we have the CEO of Zadare Enterprises, bringing your thinking up to 10,000%. Good brother Xanatrix, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. I got one more new promotion. From Wildcard. This time he says, I can count all the sins in sight with the Zadare spec.
You fucking shill.
Aaron,
At least I'm better than Guy.
Aaron, you don't get the joke. Oh, and because you don't get the joke, I'm not explaining it.
Nor do I expect you to, but that's okay because how about them Leafs? look at it this way. You didn't lose to a Zamboni driver.
No. You lost to the least successful franchise in the league.
Still better than a Zamboni driver. And
Enough, yes, Airball, who still won't let that shit go. Then again, that's fair enough.
Look, he has to deal with Kyle Busch whining like a bitch every week. So let him have this moment.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, at least they're not Ferrari.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing. Pittsburgh, did you really think I was going to leave you out? You got humiliated by the Canadians, managed by one Mark Brojaban. What were you thinking, huh?
Dude, it's like I told the monk last night. We're in house money. That my Habs are in house money now.
Yep.
We knocked out the Pens. Like we knocked out the Pens, and we won a quote series. At this point, we're in house money. At this point.
Well, here's the thing. I did not see that series as a. I saw that series as a no-win situation for both teams because number one, you got the fucking Penguins, right? Let's see if they blow it up in the offseason. But on the other hand, I'm going to put it to you this way. For every series you think the Habs win, you're getting another year of Bergevin.
Yeah. But you know what? It's like I said. At this point, they're playing with house money.
Yeah, that's true.
Your team knocked out the Pens. I'm like, oh.
Now, at any rate,
yeah.
Today's matter at hand is world building by the elements. Because the only topic style left on the docket, and why is Doku muted? Is
you're muted, and George
I can fix
Michael.
that.
Oh, there you are.
All right. Is the fact that the only topic left was something tabletop related, but I wanted to have a way to have it more open. So this is the result. This is the result of that. What we are going to be doing is a little bit of a world building experiment. And in order to do that, what we're going to be doing is before we went live, I used Asgar's fantasy map generator to create a world map, and we're going to use each of the nations in this world map along with a randomly generated deck of prompts to make a setting, essentially. Also, if you hear any background noise, I'm in the middle of a thunderstorm warning, so there you go. Now, for the benefit of everyone, I will load up the map once we get started. But here's how it's going to work, and I've already explained this to everybody in the temple. There are 7 traits. For each trait, I'll be drawing randomly, and I will go from the top to the bottom for each. I will give them an element. It'll translate to an associated trait, and then they have to and then whoever's on the list has to describe how that particular trait pertains to that particular nation in the map. And then once that trait is done, the next person comes in and has to build off what came before with the next trait. And then we keep going until we get all 7. Then we go to the next area on the map. Everybody got that? Good.
Copy.
Okay.
So,
Baseballs.
for the benefit of the audience, here is the map that I'm going to be using. And now keep in mind first off, I need to resize this thing. So hit the screen. There we go. Now so there might be a bit of overlap, but here's the map. As you can see, sorry about that bit earlier. The image was a little bit bigger than OBS's screen. So I've got the map in front of me here, and I think we're gonna go from east. I think we're gonna go from west to east on this. Now I know some of you might be raising an eyebrow at some of the names on this map, but keep in mind, all I did was hit a few traits and hit new map. So everything after that is up to RNGesus.
And everybody knows how RNGesus treats things.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it doesn't save.
Oh yeah.
Amen.
So, we will start off with the Principality of Toljalkaja.
Kasha.
Yeah, Toljalkaja. I'm going to call it Toljalkaja because I am not paid by the syllable.
Tolyayukya. The J's are wise. That's what I'm going to say.
Tolyalyakia. All right. So that is the first one that we're going. So I have my element deck in front of me. I've already shuffled over the last few minutes while we were shit talking about hockey. So let's see who is first on the list. So Aaron, you're going to be deciding the terrain, and the element you got for terrain is water, which means we're dealing with your prompt for this is forest.
Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna come. Oh, this is gonna be easy because this is gonna be summed up in one word: Seattle.
Oh god.
Basically,
All right.
it's raining. If it's in a forest and it's raining all the fucking time.
So,
Just be sure.
are we talking about a lot of wetland?
Yep. Watch your step.
All right. So the next one that we have is technology, and that is going to be your draw, Doku.
All right. What's my element? Still water?
No, each trait gets a new draw. So your draw is electricity, which means your technology level is Neotech.
Ooh.
Oh, so the Principality of Toloyakia being a very humid, very wet place, technology is a sign of aristocracy, of a group of individuals who are better than most. It's also something very dangerous and, well, caught in the wrong hands, punished very severely.
All right. Next trait is now keep in mind if you need me to go further on explanation with any of these traits, let me know. So next is government, and actually let me just do a bit of finagling with this. So I think I'm going to open up a notepad so I can keep track of each. So with the government, that is going to be Maddie. This is your draw, and your prompt for government, your element for government is air, which means you're dealing with a aristocracy. And keep in mind, you're building off of what previous folk have said on this one.
So as Doku brought it up, a lot of there's an era of aristocracy with the technology, and anyone that is technologically savvy is in royal blood. Basically, if you have technology and you're not part of the royal family, you're not supposed to have the technology.
So basically, Facebook.
Oh,
I
all
mean,
right.
Damn it.
yeah,
Drink.
in a sense.
Okay.
I'm drinking to that. I don't
Now,
care what anyone says. I'm drinking to that
obviously,
one.
since I'm managing the draws, I have to skip myself. So, which means Xanatrix, you're up for this one.
Ooh, wildlife.
Your draw is wildlife, and your element is anima, which means you get to pick an element.
Oh, well then I want to pick ether as the opposite.
Can't pick ether.
Oh, you're no fun. I was joking anyway.
Sorry.
Let's go with fire.
All right, fire. So wildlife is dire.
Dire. Oh, all right. So the reason the aristocracy has all of the technology and runs things to such a great degree with it is because they have to live away from the large and very vicious wildlife. Now, the wildlife comes in two flavors. Since we do have all that marshland, we have lots of dire reptiles and amphibians. Think your giant crocs and your giant toads.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, bull gators.
Yeah. The toads and the crocs are actually at war with each other, well, as much as any wildlife can be at war with each other. But then you have to be worried about the dire drop bears in the trees. There are a lot of marsupial and other tree-bound species that, if you're not careful, when you're looking down at your feet to make sure you don't step in a gator's mouth, you're going to get something on your back instead. And so that's why all of the technology is there. It's there to make it safe for humans to live amongst these vicious beings.
All right. So, next is culture. Because we are men of culture as well.
I see you're also a man of culture.
Mm-hmm. And it's going right back to you, Doku, on not Doku, Aaron, on this one. So the draw that you're going to be getting is electricity, which means the culture is progressive. Now,
Ooh,
I know
boy.
progressive is a loaded term because of current year, but
I know.
we are going with progressive in the traditional sense, the way that, say, the Enlightenment was progressive.
Okay, all right. Because of the technological advance and how it's made the citizenry pretty well off, their culture has also evolved along with it as well. Let's just say if even go into the only reason they even go into the wild out is just because most of them like wearing, let's just say, long coats made of gator skin. And their boots, well, a lot of poor giant toads had to die for that.
All right.
So basically, a whole lot. So people who are technologically advanced and enjoy, but are nature lovers, in a sense.
They just wear the skin as a status symbol.
Well, a victorious hunt. So next is society. And that's going to be you, Doku. We live in a society, and now we're finding out the bottom text. So, your particular draw is fire. which means the society trait that you have is outposts.
Well, so the society being structured the way it is, considering the way the landscape is, there's no large cities, there's no major consolidated government. It more being a progressive society has, let's say, townships. So people are encouraged to engage in trade. They like to move around, but they still have a respect for the hierarchy as a whole. And more than anything, a respect for the land which they come from, especially when it in regards to their nation state. You're more likely to be friends with the guy the next township over because he's the one bringing you those goods and supplies that you don't want to go out and get yourself because the landscape is dangerous.
All right, good.
So basically, you have some guy peddling gator skins from town to town. Huh, that's nice.
All right.
Here, you want a suitcase?
And the last trait on when it comes to the principality is creed. Now, obviously, we're not talking about overrated Christian bands.
Nor are we talking about black boxers that help a Chicago guy win the championship.
Or
that's 2 drinks. That's 2 drinks right now.
No, here's the third one. We're not talking about one of the most overpowered independent characters in the Imperial Guard for 40K.
Creed!
Drink. All right, that's 3. Cheers.
No, we're talking about Apollo or Adonis.
I did say Apollo Creed, the black guy helping the Chicago white boy win a boxing
Or
championship.
Austin Creed.
Yeah.
By the way, that wasn't Chicago. That was Philadelphia.
Yeah.
True. I just said Chicago because you're here. You make me think of it all the time.
As far as the whole Austin Creed thing, at the very least, I can say I can handle hot peppers better than he can. To be fair, he's admitted that he has a baby mouth. Although I honestly feel bad for him because if you had to hear someone shouting "goal" right back that damn close to you, I'd probably be like that too.
Hey, you know what? Impressed that for the poor guy. His entire season of the GM mode got lost, and he's trying to recover it. No one loves losing a shitload of data.
Yeah.
No.
Good luck. You'll need it.
So the final thing with Creed. Now, I want to make clear that Creed is more of the mystical and religious traditions of the realm. So this can go anywhere from local shaman traditions all the way to organized religions. Now, in your case, Maddie, you drew light, which means you're dealing with a theological nation.
Right. So obviously the common folk believe that the royal family, the quote unquote government / royal family, they got selected by a common deity in that case, and they respect it for it. If not by just straight up blind loyalty, if not by just loyalist tradition, like they obviously say, okay, there's a lot of BS behind the scenes, but they respect that. Hey, at least they're keeping the ship together. Right. As far as the theology is concerned, they believe in some kind of a god.
Some kind of a god?
Would you say that it's a Deus Ex Machina, considering that they're a technological society?
I would say so, yeah. I would say so.
I'm thinking something more akin to machine spirits.
Yeah.
More 40K, why not?
Well, not directly that, and the whole idea of technology as its own religion goes all the way back to Foundation.
True.
If I could just interject something briefly, would it be safe to say that technology in the society is viewed as a gift from the gods?
Yeah.
Okay.
bunch of technology fell like kind of like an asteroid kind of a thing, and it was mistaken as a gift from the gods. And they a bunch of people who claimed to be scientists said, "Hey, we can improve on that, reverse engineer that shit. We're smart."
Okay. Mildred, I do notice here that part of Creed says that Creed traits are not just superstitions and beliefs, they are the way that the supernatural world actually works in the realm.
Mm-hmm.
So then, Maddie, since it is fallen technology from the heavens or something, reverse engineered, possibly with some sort of machine spirit, would you say that this is an embodiment of Clark's third law?
Remind me what that is?
Any significantly advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Pretty much, yeah. I would say that, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Except they're smart enough to realize, hey, this isn't just magic stuff. This is stuff we could actually work with. It's not hocus pocus fucking bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So essentially, we have a religious nation that's in a wetland that has advanced technology that also happens to live in a very not so friendly environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The way I see it, it's temperate forest wetlands with dire wetlands beings. Everybody lives in giant metal tree houses to keep themselves up in the marsh.
That would make sense with the theology and the technology, the fact that it's a wetland / temperate rainforest type of environment, where without technology, i.e. the gift from the gods, human beings would probably cease to exist very quickly.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Well, it would be a case of they originally didn't live around the wetlands, but the technology allows them to live in the wetlands.
Yeah, so without it, they'd be gator food.
Or drop bear food.
Mm-hmm.
Them dire drop
both?
bears.
And keep in mind, when we're talking dire, I'd imagine that when we're talking dire, I'm thinking of gators that are as long as a fully loaded semi.
Yeah, like 60-meter gators. The toads I was thinking of are probably the size of my entire apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's
Just wait until the toads realize they can use their tongues to swing from trees like monkeys. Then you're screwed.
Don't give them ideas, damn it!
Probably do.
Okay. So for the next one, do you want to go north or do you want to go south first?
Well, we're doing tabletop RPG.
Flip a coin.
Someone roll a dice. Odds for north, evens for south.
All right, let me get my shit out. All right. And I got 3, so it's odd.
North it is then.
All right. Which means our next one is the Grand Duchy of Belorankia.
Lauren-Kia.
And for this one, just to mix it up, I'm starting at the bottom and I'm moving up. So Xanatrix, you're starting out.
Alrighty.
So you've got terrain. Your element is darkness, which means you are dealing with a swamp.
Well, that makes sense. Considering how close it is to the principality, the marshes and wetlands of the principality of Tolyaoyikia are probably flowing into what now becomes a flatter basin near that gulf right there that's formed between the Grand Duchy and the Republic of Kochertosia. And so all of that brackish water is now sitting in this flatter plain. And since it's a swamp, I believe swamps are more alkaline and marshes are more acid.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, there are going to be a lot of alkali salts in the ground. And that's going to create a major factor in whatever agriculture may be in this area.
All right. So next is Maddie. you've got technology. So let's see what your element is. It is fire, which means the technology that you've got is steam.
All right.
In the swamp / marsh, so a lot of water around, a lot of heat. It's a damp, humid place. So obviously they found a way to convert that steam into energy and all that stuff. So
makes sense. Makes sense since you're dealing with a fucking bog.
Mm-hmm.
And they are within. They are right next to the principality. So there is an exchange of goods and technologies, so to speak. I would almost imagine that I'm not going to say the name, but the country is the originating place from the prince that went into the principality in a sense. So a lot of
So you're basically saying this is the. So you're basically saying this is the principality's mother country, so to speak.
In a sense. Okay.
All right.
So. Not obviously, it's the principalities is its own royal place, and theoretically, so it's still its own country and its own beliefs and all that stuff, which we'll obviously discover. But there is while they're by, you could say technology wise, they're practically the same, except instead of using electricity, they're using steam.
All right. Let's see. So
or they use the electricity, all that stuff.
So next is government, and Doku, this is going to be your draw. And you got electricity. So so in this case, we're dealing with a technocracy.
Technocracy.
because this nation is so close to the principality, they do get a lot of runoff technology. They don't necessarily understand it, but what they do know is that it works. It is very much a heritage thing to them, almost. Because they're so close to the principality and the ideals of the two are so closely related, you could make the argument that a lot of people within this culture view it in not only a position or a symbol of power, but also strangely religious without being a religion in and of itself. Technology might be considered a very valuable hand-me-down.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I think that could be the major difference between the principality and the grand place. I'm not going to try to
Grand Duchy.
Grand Duchy.
And so
I'll expand on the idea of government. While there is an aristocracy or a sense of royalty about technology when it comes to the principality, if you end up with an impressive degree of technology in your personal possession, well, congratulations. Welcome to the Big Boys Club.
Yeah.
Now, next on the list is wildlife. And this is going to be going to you, Aaron.
All right.
So, let's see what you drew. What we have for you is the water element. So, the wildlife in this area is exotic. Do you need me to expand on what that's going to mean?
I think I have a general idea here. Now, here's the good news. It's not full of things that want to eat you, like in the Principality. Here's the bad news. They don't eat here. They don't eat here in the Grand Duchy. They drink. And that comes in the form of skeeters. We're talking bird-sized skeeters. All right? Because And these skeeters, like I said, you said exotic, right?
Yes.
We're talking not only you think, okay, I'll jump in the water and escape the skeeters, right? Nope. They don't only fly. They can swim too. And not only that, since you're also dealing with exotic things, well, let's just say you got some weird fucking plants there. Weird plants that, again, like skeeters, have a taste for blood. Just the problem is they like to use their vines to sting you. So you better bring a lot of freaking off whenever you go into the damn swamp.
Get some off, braid,
and some Roundup weed killer.
Mm-hmm. Well, since we're dealing with a steam-based society, they probably have a fair amount of alchemists on hand.
Yeah.
All those alkali salts
absolutely.
they pull out of the ground will help.
Yeah. So bring your off and bring your Roundup.
All right. So the next trait is culture, and that's going back to Xanatrix. So what we have for culture is light. So
Okay.
the culture you're dealing with is honorable.
All right. So we're a steam-based society. It's a technocracy, so the people with the most technology make the rules, and they're living like a bunch of feudal lords. They bestow steam gifts to their most loyal followers, and the followers are expected to bring back trophies of their trials, their ways of earning their stripes in this culture, in order to show that they can fulfill the honorable traditions of their technocracy. One of these is actually to find a very rare instance of one of these carnivorous flora and these giant mosquitoes killing each other simultaneously. You find their corpses intertwined, proboscis and stinger tentacle in each other.
Ah.
Additionally, their best weapon are rapiers made from the proboscises of the largest mosquitoes, and are used to slowly bleed an opponent during a duel.
Nice. Very nice.
The armor obviously comes from a combination of the alkali salts being used to temper much of the vegetation, and the armor is fairly sturdy because of it. It's also pretty much waterproof, so their warriors can go out in the swamp and not come home with jungle foot. But
and not too many bug bites, I assume.
Probably not. I don't think the proboscises can get through that hardened cell wall at that point. In the end, the most honorable vassals not only have this armor and this rapier, but you can see the steam gadgets that have been embedded into pieces here and there that are like little steam crossbows on the arms that shoot sharpened proboscis needles, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see a warrior like that, much like the predators, you know that the more gadgetry they have, the more honorable things they've done in service of their steam lord.
So basically, what you're saying is the more steam biotechnology someone has, the higher their rank.
Yeah, and it's all based on the honorable kill. If it's ever found out that a kill was taken dishonorably or without the way, they're stripped down to nothing. They go back to 0.
So like Assassin's Creed, you basically start back from scratch and you got to earn you got to earn your rank back up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they have to earn their stripes once again.
All right. So next is society, and I believe in this case, Maddie, this one's yours.
Hit me.
All right. And you drew. Hang on, I had to do a bit of shuffling because things were getting a little too similar. You drew stone. So we are dealing with a centralized society.
Centralized, so obviously very few townships, one big city, basically in a way that to keep everyone safe from the bird side skeeters and the bird size skeeters really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone in one safe spot just makes more sense than everyone spread out and picked off or drank off, I guess you could say. Basically, just one or two big cities. Trade between the two. There's a big road that's generally safe, and then, of course, anyone that dares go beyond the
It's your ass.
It's at your own risk. Yeah.
I'd say it's less of it's your own ass and more of if you go past this point, we are not responsible for what happens.
You want to do your own thing, go ahead, but it's your ass, buddy.
Right.
The only time people go beyond the road is when they're told it's time for your next spirit quest. Go with honor.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to go prove yourself.
Yeah, essentially, don't go beyond the road unless you're undergoing a trial.
Yep.
Yeah.
So next up, I believe this would be Doku, and this is the last one for the duchy. It is the Creed trait, and you drew water. So we are dealing with a shamanistic culture.
That's that's actually perfect in this area.
No, it's very fitting and it's very easy. This culture, because of the harsh nature of the environment that they live in and also their background and relationship with the principality, have a very deep-seated, deep-rooted respect for nature and how easy it is to overcome, but also how easy it is to be overcome by. They would more likely rather have you go out and fight honorably and die doing so than try to use dirty, underhanded tactics or disrespect the culture and the environment around them just for the sake of trying to survive. They take honor and kick it up to 10.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, any trial you undertake, it has to be a glorious one. No cutting corners.
Yes.
And it's a trial before the gods. Or
and
whatever.
The more glorious it is, the more respected and the higher you'll run up in the ranks. They are a respectable culture, but a ruthless one.
All right.
And so
They
then,
do not fuck around.
Mm-hmm.
so how does that affect how the actual supernatural exists with them?
I would say they don't believe in the supernatural or the technological. It's all the same to them. The principality might view things as being a gift from the gods. They view things more of, are you worthy or not? Your actions, trials, and tribulations, the crucible that you undertake will determine whether it's one or the other.
If I had to make a guess, I would say that because of the fact that the water provide the amount of water and the stuff that rises from the water, that represents the language of the spirits, as it were. So stuff like steam tech is blessed by them, and the like.
The water and electricity and the wildlife and fauna, all of it is viewed as the lifeblood of the gods. Technology or magic is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. All right,
they're one and the same.
I can go with
Yeah.
that. So, and that's the Grand Duchy of Belarinkia. So I think for the next one we're gonna go south to the Kingdom of Ursakela.
All right.
At least I think that's how it's pronounced.
Well, it looks like a nonsense word. Ursakelia, maybe.
All right. So first things first, we're starting from the top. So Aaron, this is on you.
Hey.
Okay, you've got terrain, and you drew fire. So we're dealing with a desert.
Okay. Now I know what you're thinking. What? How come a game like Ursakelia is a desert, and while their neighboring games tend to be wetlands? Well, between the border right here, right here, that's a mountain range, and beyond that mountain range, it's all the hot air coming in from, I believe the north.
Mm-hmm.
Now this desert, it's pretty harsh, but what's a good feature of it is the sands are not it's not your typical desert. We're dealing with white sands.
So quartz silica.
Yep. White sands, I would say white sands, but on the cool side, like we're talking like more cadet bluish type gray, more on that side instead of the warm side.
All right.
But don't be fooled by its color. It's still insanely hot.
All right. So next is going to be technology, and I believe that's going to be on Doku. So for technology, you drew air. So your technological level is electronics.
Okay. Oh,
Easy.
strangely enough, because there is that mountain range that separates the previous two kingdoms that we went over, it would not be remiss to say that all of that technology initially came from this particular region. That said, well, let's just say the technology is not viewed in the same way as it is in the Principality or what was the last one we just covered?
Grand Duchy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Duchy. It exists throughout the desert. If you want to go out and find it beneath the sands, so be it. But as far as the technology itself is concerned, it's been there longer than this region has probably been inhabited.
Yeah, don't forget. I would also add, since you're dealing with a lot of sand, imagine how many microchips you can make with that.
Well, we might say that this technology, wherever it came from, might be the reason that this place is a desert to begin with. Who knows?
So you're thinking climate mishap.
It could be a climate mishap. It could have been something falling from the sky. Maybe this entire region is a gigantic crater. Who knows? All we know is that it's a desert.
That's probably where that crater, where the crater from that asteroid, from the technology from the Principality landed. You don't know.
It would be a decent quest.
Yep.
Find the answer.
especially considering that mountain range is between those countries. That's pretty indicative of a barrier wall built from asteroid impact.
Yep, there you go. So that's how they view technology. It's there. No one necessarily knows why, nor do they really understand why it's coveted by other people. It's a common thing for them.
All right. So next is government, and this one's gonna go to you, Maddie. You drew darkness. So the government that you're dealing with is a tyranny. Now, I want to make something clear. I know tyranny has a negative connotation, but that doesn't mean that this particular tyranny has to. You're just dealing with a country that has one person who has absolute authority.
Yeah, it's a totalitarian dictatorship.
But he's a fair guy. Hey, it's a desert. He wants to make sure everyone's safe. And there was a lot of argument. There was a lot of people who weren't happy with a particular thing. And yes, there was bloodshed. But those who were arguing were going with ideas that, in hindsight, led to certain death. So the guy knew a couple of scientists, like the dictator in question knew a couple of scientists who said, "We go through this, we die." So he's got an iron fist when it comes to rules. It's the desert, so he don't fuck around with that shit.
All right.
So his rule is law.
Mm-hmm.
It's a giant but fair caliphate, so nothing like the Middle East. Got it.
Yeah.
I'd say he'd have more in common with the rulers of certain Greek city-states.
Oh boy, Sparta.
He is fair but firm. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it sounds like a
hears out something that says, "Okay, let's hear both sides, and I'll give you my opinion."
Well,
sounds a
hopefully,
lot like a certain Chinese dynasty.
yeah. I think the opinion might end up someone getting kicked into the well.
Well, if you piss him off, that well's gonna be full of alligators, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
He imports them from the Principality, you know.
Of
I was gonna say about those trade routes.
Again, he's fair but firm. He knows what his kingdom needs, and he knows what he's got.
Yep.
What has he
Firmer
got? He
than
don't
a
know what he
gator.
got.
Firmer than a gator skin and sharper than the sucky part on a bird-sized mosquito.
Yeah.
Sucky part.
I'd like to take this time to point out that it's only the female mosquito that sucks your blood.
Yep, the proboscis of a female mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
Sucky part. You make it sound like they're a $5 Saigon whore.
Oh my god!
Hey, maybe the mosquitoes are developing intelligence due to certain cybernetic implants.
Oh, steam-powered cybernetic implants.
Remember, they can swim in water.
Dun 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 dun.
No.
Except
Nope.
my eggs.
Oh.
Instead of the
Anyway.
T800, it's the T80.
Next, Xanatrix, you've got the wildlife trait.
All right.
So you drew light. So your wildlife is natural, the de facto inhabitants of a realm.
Oh, the de facto inhabitants of a realm of a desert. Well, you're going to see dromedaries of every sort because they can store fat and water in their bodies.
Camels.
Much like camels, yes. We don't necessarily know if they look like camels. They could be something entirely else. They could look like Duramboros from Monster Hunter, after all. And of course, you've got your typical nighttime creepy crawlies, the scorpions and the snakes that are all amongst the sands. For your flora, you've got the hardy cacti and the scrub grass, and sometimes the little oasis here and there has the nice big palm trees. And so your food is going to mostly be insects. high in protein, high in fiber, and very, very nutritionally packed.
Oh, so it's good eating.
Yeah. Oh, dude, have you ever had deep fried scorpions? Stuff is really good. And because of that, the danger level, while not nearly as pronounced as, say, the Principality with their dire fauna, or the Grand Duchy with their exotic fauna and flora, is a little more manageable, especially since they have all of the electronic technology. Finding scorpions is easy. You can make sure that they aren't in your house by just simply flashing around a little UV light, and they glow like here in on Earth. And so you can make sure that your house is safe. And again, with the electronics that they have from their technology, it also makes hunting easier. And they are obviously going to have animal husbandry with all of the wildlife, especially for their trade. They're likely going to use the dromedaries for the longest trips. Sure, they'll have shorter trips that might use the electronics to their advantage, but it's really going to be almost a symbiotic relationship between some domesticated camels or whatever they might be, and the people of this kingdom, of this tyranny, and that's really a big part of it. Also, cactus is a wonderful and succulent dessert to enjoy during a time under the shade.
Does this mean we're gonna have people taking the Sokka challenge?
Soccer challenge.
Oh God.
Oh, wait a minute. You forgot one thing since we're talking about cactus. Starts with a P.
Starts with a P.
Prick.
Peyote.
Mm-hmm.
Peyote.
Yeah, drugs.
Yeah.
Peyote, yes.
Well. After all, after we commented earlier, this entire place sounds like a much nicer caliphate than has ever been on the face of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I figured drug use was probably already going to be in there, but it probably doesn't factor into wildlife. It would more likely factor into another feature such as culture or creed.
Yeah.
Complete side note. I can only imagine a certain dictator from a certain desert country asking a prestigious warrior from a certain swamp-like area to come hunt down a Mongolian deathworm.
Okay.
So next is going to be culture, and I believe this one goes all the way back up to the top. So this is Aaron, you're up on this one.
Okay.
And your draw is fire. So we are dealing with a militant culture.
Oh boy. Well,
This just
More
took
and
a
more
hard
like
right turn.
It more and more it's a caliphate. It's just more and more sounding like a caliphate.
well. Now I know Game of Thrones fucking reference, but their culture is more like the Dothraki, except instead of horses, it comes in two flavors. On the road, they think it's a combination of Dothraki and the War Boys.
Oh God.
Now on the road,
Mm-hmm.
they have their technology allows them to build war buggies that could be anything from like three wheelers to ones that are the size of big rigs.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. They suck off road. That's when they get out the dromedaries. So if they have to go off road, they just park their shit in the side of the road and then get out the camels. So invading that kingdom very bad idea. They're very mobile. They have their military technology is up there. They don't invade any lands. It's not their style. Just bottom line is simple. Don't fucking invade. It won't end well for you.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm just imagining. I'm imagining a camel with a humpback-mounted machine gun.
Pretty much. Actually, that's what they got.
That reminds me of the meme that I saw earlier today that says Serbia reveals its new tank, and it's a camel with a machine gun on the hump.
Actually, let me raise you one. I want you to imagine a camel mounted with the smart gun.
Oh no!
The smart gun from shit.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know if you guys remember Turok 2: Seeds of Evil, but if you've played that game, remember the River of Souls where they start you out on the Triceratops with the back-mounted machine gun and rocket launchers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah. that'd probably be the heavy Dakas.
Yeah, the heavy Dakas is on the war buggies.
Well, they're a tyrannical society as well. So, well, here comes the king on his gigantic brontosaurus with a 50mm cannon. Have fun.
Big ass dromedary, and then he's got like a big ass buggy that's like the size of like a Spaceball 1. Complete with the bumper sticker.
Who needs a battle?
No,
Who needs a battleship when you have a brontosaurus-sized land camel with gigantic 50-inch guns on it?
Yep.
That's why the buggy's big enough to carry his steed, and like on the bumper sticker says the king breaks for nobody.
So
the Tyrannosaurus doesn't need to clap its hands when its hands have been replaced with rocket launchers and lasers.
So next is society, and I believe this one is going to you, Doku. So let's see what your element is. You got air. So we are dealing with a mercantile society.
It's a caliphate. This is all a caliphate.
It really is.
This has been nothing but 1200s Middle East, except with modern tech. That's all this has been.
So very straightforward. Due to the fact that they're essentially an isolated, for better or worse, tyrannical government, and not the worst environment in the world, but not the best. And they do tend to value trading goods and services, especially considering the fact that they live in a desert, not a swamp or anywhere else. Not only are they capable of trading goods and services, they're able to do so very effectively because of the structure of government, where there's not a lot of bureaucracy to go through. You buy this, it needs to go here. Okay, that's what you do. Bandits, good luck. The military will come for you, and they will persecute you with the utmost prejudice.
Yeah, I think there probably are still bandits, but they're a lot less brazen. Like they're the ones who would probably try and do night raids instead of trying to attack caravans in broad daylight.
Oh, and they're also very clever because the few bandits that actually do want to attack any of the trading groups or coming or going, they like to hang around the mountains so that worst case scenario, they can, jump ship and go to a different country. And they like to hide in caves, crevices, valleys, specifically on that northern edge of the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to find them lurking around in the middle of the desert. Yeah, big, broad, open desert. Not the best place. They'll just wait for something coming over the mountain range, take it, loot it, and then take it to the other two countries that tend to appreciate trade and also tend to like technology a lot, which in this desert is very abundant.
Now, if you think about this, since I would assume there would be a lot of roads coming through the kingdom and what have you. Would you also say that there's some aspect that would also sell passage through the kingdom, so you won't get freaking jumped? So at least you'll know where the hell you're going.
Now, I'm assuming that this mountain range goes all along the border between the kingdom and the principality and Grand Duchy. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
It should.
In that case, you probably have a lot of tunnels down there, and thus a veritable labyrinth, kind of like the World's Edge Mountains in Warhammer Fantasy. Meaning
And that also probably means you're probably going to have a certain flavor of creepy crawlies in that mountain range that you're not going to encounter in the desert.
Well, you might be dealing with that, and you might also be dealing with the fact that if you don't know where you're going, because of the fact that you're dealing with tunnels that lead into more tunnels, you could get lost and end up as a skeleton in the tunnels.
Yeah, or jumped by bandits. One of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that there isn't an entire city in those mountain range somewhere? Someone smell Special Quest?
The free city. We are from the free city. We stay away from His Majesty.
Oh, it's like Bravos, but in the mountains.
So, lastly is Creed, and I believe this one's going to you, Maddie. So, for Creed, you drew stone, which means that we're dealing with a place that has a ritualistic creed.
All right. So obviously ritual is that people stay in their place. Obviously it's a desert, so the people stay hot, so people stay inside their tunnels, their caves, or whatever. Whatever they do to stay cool, stay safe, stay alive. Otherwise, they if they see the king or anyone of they see the dictator or anyone that is of high interest to the high ruler, they respect or they die. I mean, ritual. I mean, of course, if you're in the northern part, the ritual is if someone runs astray, runs in your way, and you can kill them or loot them. There you go. The ritual says that you stepped on the territory. Sorry, bud. Them's the rules. Give me your shit or fuck off.
Would you also say that they that there are certain religious rituals that they do in order to appease the desert?
Yeah. Bunch of rituals so that the gods do not smite them in their looting. They don't get hit by any creatures that would want like rattlesnakes the size of Volkswagens. Get in the way, stuff like that, you know.
Something that I could easily see happening when it comes to this desert is when it comes to certain natural events. There's two types of weather that they probably would want to avoid. Okay, let's get the obvious. They'd probably want to avoid any really strong winds. You know, no sandstorms, no dust devils, that kind of thing.
Hold up. Before we go on.
Oh no.
Sandstorms. Do you know what that means?
No!
It's all part of a new program we like to call Deep Hurting. Deep Hurting.
Yep.
But the other thing the other thing I was considering, given the fact that you need to take certain routes, is since you brought up Final Fantasy XII before we went live, that gave me the idea that there are certain parts of Erskelia that have sand seas, where the sand is so soft that you literally cannot walk on it.
Oh, Dune Sea, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That would also imply that there's a certain amount of moisture below the ground that leads the soil itself to be malleable to a dangerous extent. So,
Yeah.
low-lying areas in a desert, flash floods are probably not your friend.
Mm-hmm. Which would also mean that if by some if they saw, say, thunderclouds going into the distance, they would you would think in a desert seeing rain would be a blessing. They'd probably see that as a really bad omen.
Nope. Yep. That quicksand.
Yeah.
Well,
You
and
see thunder
also
picking up, get out of Dodge, find safe cover.
Well, I'd also like to point out that the type of sand you came up with, Aaron, the quartz silica sand, is the same type of sand Nikola Tesla used for some of his lighting experiments, and is extremely electrically conductive.
Oh, that's right.
And considering the level of technology and also the fact that the nations to the north, the Principality and the Duchy, tend to be rather humid, I would imagine that seeing thunderclouds coming off the peaks of those mountain ranges is probably not something that you're going to look at favorably.
So if you're not on the road and there's a thunderstorm, goodbye.
Possibly, it'll kill your war buggy for sure.
And also, if you happen to be a bandit that is in some of those caves, yeah, water's probably not your friend either.
Yep. Better hope you're down far enough that there isn't enough silica around you to shock you to death when the lightning hits the mountaintops.
Yeah.
Now, I think we're on a good roll with this.
This will have to be my last one. This next one, because unfortunately I have work in the morning.
All right. So
I can do one.
Huh?
But I can do one more.
All right. So the next one is the Republic of Kotorsia,
yes.
You know, this randomized generator likes to end everything in Ia or Ian.
I'm pretty sure Ash would be happy because there's very few names in this that are starting with A.
I see one. Auloronia. Oh, 3, excuse me. There we go. I had to look over at the other continent.
The All-Seeing Alliance of Alice.
No, seriously, yesterday when I had Ash on, he ended up going on this massive rant about how he's banned any names starting with A.
Oh boy! Oh, that leaves me out.
It's more when it comes to fantasy naming. He finds A names to be overused.
That's actually kind of weird.
I'm gonna start spelling island with an A, just because I can.
Ailand. Island.
Doku, how do you pronounce graphics interchange format?
Oh.
Wait, what? Hold, pause. What? Rewind.
GIF. How do you pronounce it? GIF.
GIF.
Good job.
Okay, good. If you did it the other way, then I would have to kick your ass.
What if the G is silent? If is pronounced if.
Smart ass motherfucker.
You set me up for it. I couldn't resist.
Yep, like a fucking rake. Anyway,
I'll just go ahead and drink for my own cringe.
So we're starting off with you, Aaron, and we are going and you've got terrain duties this time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
your particular terrain for the Republic of Cortutosia is fire, meaning we are dealing. Meaning, actually, nope. Sorry, I picked the wrong one. We are not dealing with fire. We are dealing with electricity. So you are dealing with a mountainous kingdom.
Ooh. Oh boy. Okay, now remember that I've been talking about that mountain range that goes from Ursa Kelly through the Principality and the Duchy? Well, this mountain range opens up into a much bigger mountain range when it comes to Kurtosia. Now, it's how this works out is this. Well, you know the city of Denver, and how it's the quote unquote mile high city.
Yeah.
Apply that to the entire republic.
Now, now? Obviously, we're not talking the case where we're dealing with top. I'd imagine that it's a mixture of highlands and large mountains. But either way, you're still going to be at least a mile up.
Yep, and be careful during the winter because there's a lot of snow.
Mm-hmm. So next is electricity.
So it's good for. So I'll tell you before we go on. I heard the Republic of Cortotosia has got a nice skiing industry.
Hey, maybe Eddie the Eagle can actually win a medal there. Oh, who am I kidding? Can of Coke to whoever gets that reference.
I'm just gonna go ahead and drink.
Of course, by that logic, maybe Mahavir will actually finish a race without getting penalty points.
Oh, ouch!
Or Rich Energy will actually display their finances.
Oh, 2 for 2.
So, technology. This one's on you, Doku, and you have Pandoran tech.
Oh, no.
Okay, before I go into this, just so I know I hit the nail on the head, elaborate just a bit.
Okay. Pandoran tech. Pandoran technology is a black box that offers great potential at a great price. It allows its users to bend and break the laws of nature, circumventing time, gravity, life, and death. While there is no limit to what can be accomplished, there is also no limit to the toll this power source can take on the land around it and the well-being of those exposed to it.
Okay, so I'm going to set this up so that everybody else can go ahead and have fun with it. There is a certain type of technology in this region that is, shall we say, unnatural. It might have influenced the way this world is, or it might not. It might be something completely unique in and of unto itself. The only thing that is certain about this technology is it is unique in and unto itself. It is a mystery. It's a paradox.
So it's basically the mystery box.
Well, the reason it's called Pandoran tech is because of the fact that it released all the evils and left just hope behind. This can release all the evils and leave just hope behind. Great power and great prices.
Well, you're gonna have to figure out what it is if you were playing in this game and in this setting. Let's just say that the 3 countries that we've been through already would look at it and think it literally not a gift of the gods, but a bane. Almost a threat, a warning. Or the greatest gift ever known. Who knows?
Basically, it was like, so the other 3 countries were like, we're not going to fuck with it.
Well, maybe it's the origin of this technology. Why is the country to the west so rich in technology? Why are the 2 countries to the north of that country also somewhat rich and essentially worship technology. Where did it come from? Where is the origin? Is it good? Is it bad?
The tyrant is
Who
the
knows?
tyrant the tyrant of Ursakelia is the tyrant and militant and keeps his country isolationist to protect from Kotratosia. Because he sees
Potentially.
the scientist said, yeah, if we do this, we're all going to die, and that's why he killed all the other people who wanted to go to Kotratosia and be like, we need to use their stuff too! We can make our desert great! And he's like, no. Fuck you. That's my backstory, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
essentially no one in world will know exactly what this degree of technology is, aside from the fact that it is both great and dangerous.
All right. So, for the next one is government, and I believe this one is going to be on you, Maddie.
Oh, I can follow up on that.
Yep. And you drew water, so we're dealing with a meritocracy.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I was hoping for another draw. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, are we dealing with Ancapistan now?
No, this is a case of yes. You're
I'm gonna pretty much
won
put
this
it to you
country. You gotta earn.
I'm gonna put it to
Go
you
ahead.
this way. Here, I think I have an idea what this country is.
Aaron, hold
What?
that thought.
Okay, go for it.
Maddie's got the floor.
All right, go for it, Manny.
I was gonna say meritocracy with a Pandora with a shitload of Pandora's boxes. Well, you know, in this government, yeah, meritocracy. If you've unveiled some of this technology, turns out the price is steep. So for some, as you mentioned, some of the prices can be steep. So the government makes a way. Okay, you can work with the if you can work with the technology, you work it. If you can work the most, you run the country. If you break the law, you have to open one of those boxes.
Ooh. Open the mystery box for your punishment.
Yeah, it can be very good or very, very, very bad, but that's what it is. The punishment is the not knowing. It's literally that. Yeah, will it spring up and give you wealth and riches and an ability to come back from this fuck up that you may or may not have done, or certain doom and destruction for your life, or a curse. And hey, the technology is cool. Hey, Blu-ray player, but you might get a Blu-ray player, but it'll amputate your foot.
How can a Blu-ray player amputate your foot?
Lasers.
It's one of those random things. Again, you don't know. You'll get the most wonderful thing in the world, and then you're a eunuch for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So basically,
$4.
When it came to that foot thing, I have to ask one question. Was that a Clerks reference?
Not intentionally, but I'll take it.
This is not why we roll the dice, damn it.
Anyway,
No.
Xanatrix, you're up. You've got wildlife.
That's my
So
draw.
your draw is you drew stone, which means that wildlife in this case is referred to as epic.
oh,
Shit.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
We're talking Thunderbirds, Great Dragons, Krakens, all that kind of creatures of legend and myth.
And you're
I wish I took this one.
You
I wish
give
I
me-
took this one because I have an idea, but go for it, Xanatrix.
You've given me a canvas with which to paint! All right.
Have fun with the Pandora's Box Nation when it comes to epic wildlife.
The Pandora's Box meritocracy. So, I'm thinking that some of these Pandora's boxes, some of this technology is the wildlife. Think a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn here. We've got actual technological animals with amazing powers, such as, well, that bird in the sky who hunts by dropping things with the force of gravity at 100 times. We've got the dragons that instead of breathing fire or lightning, no, that's too passé. That's too mundane. I'm gonna breathe the plasma from a center of a star. We've got the guys, the Ouroboroses that burrow underneath the mountains, consuming their own tails, and at the same time causing massive upheaval within the mountain ranges. No map of Kotortosia is the same in every decade, because no map of Kotortosia can survive the giant serpents. And then, of course, hidden in the deep snows, you have some of the most dangerous animals of all, the invisible hunters, the things that go bump in the night. Nobody sees them, nobody hears them until it's too late, and entire villages are sometimes disappeared. But because of the meritocracy, and they know that these animals can be a source of great power, if you're a hunter and you go out and you get these things, you kill one and take its materials, take the pieces of its body that you know are powerful, and bring them back to the people who, well, let's just say safe to say they are the evaluators, the people who evaluate your merit.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to take it and they're going to make it into something for you, tailored to you specifically. And all of a sudden, that Thunderbird in the sky that brings down 100 times gravity, now it's on your arm, and you strike with the force of 1,000 suns.
Hello, my name is Doku, and I'm a warrior from the Duchy of Sakisaki.
You're just going to call it that from now on, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, God. Okay. So next.
Epic enough for you there, Mildred?
Yeah, I'd say we've got that covered.
I have a feeling, before we go on, I have a feeling some people from the Duchy travel there for their trials as well.
It would fit.
It's like, here, this old hat. I'm gonna go high stakes.
Oh, they probably do. It's just that most of them don't come back.
Yeah.
After all, they're hunting a dragon that can breathe nuclear plasma with a sword made from, well, a proboscis.
Mm-hmm.
Only the true greats could make it back from that. And even then, they may not leave the Republic, because they might like being able to do it more and more often with their new shiny dragon armor that reflects the sun.
Now then, next is you. You're up next, Darren, and you've got culture.
Okay.
So, what you drew for, as far as what you drew for culture, you drew pure anima. So you get to pick what element.
Oh boy, considering everything we've seen here, we're going darkness.
Ooh.
All right, darkness, which means we are dealing with a ascetic culture.
A culture of ascetics?
Yes.
Meritocratic ascetics that hunt epic monsters?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. Well, as very inhospitable as we're dealing with freaking we're dealing with monsters that are extraordinarily powerful technology. That's a crapshoot. Considering that's this pretty much Black Mesa of the country. Well, what would happen if someone would merge that technology with the corpses of these epic monsters? You're looking at beautiful cities beautiful cities that let's just say that you know how they say the topography changes every decade. Well, that's the same. That's the same thing for architecture. The architecture gets more elaborate every decade as well.
So you'd probably need a map to get. You'd probably need a map to get around in some of these cities.
Yep.
All right, I can go with that. So what we've got next is society, and Doku. This one's on you.
Okay.
All right, and the society that we have is going to be is you drew light, so this society is wondrous.
Oh boy! This is Black Mesa, the country.
Okay. So
Mountainous black box technology with epic monsters and an ascetic lifestyle that's wondrous.
well, pretty straightforward. This society cherishes the grandiose, the extreme, the valiant, the things of history books. If your name does not go down in infamy, well, what are you doing with your life? Everyone who comes from this region should be known on a first last name basis. They should know what you look like. They should know your favorite color, your favorite thing to eat. Everyone who comes out of this type of society should have fables sung about them. They're a society of heroes, villains, tyrants, all the stuff of myth. But by that same token, being
country.
well, by being the stuff of myth, by that same token, very rare to actually meet or see one in person.
You'd probably die before you ever could.
Yep.
Well, and to meet or see one of these individuals in person who comes from this fabled and terrifying land,
It's the land of
let's just
legends.
say it will be the highlight of your life.
So it's the land of legends. Perfect for like an end for like a.
I
like
would,
a-
I wouldn't be surprised
Cheer.
if everybody has their own little as you know how some Jesus freaks will carry a Bible with them all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if a good amount of people in this region
We're all Deku.
carry it. I'm not gonna go Deku far, but I'm saying that everybody carries some sort of book or pamphlet with some sort of legend that they look up to.
Oh my god, it's a bunch of mini wasses.
Actually, let's say this. There is a saying about people that come from this region. If a mountain were a mansion and that was your greatest achievement in life, then you are underachieving.
You know, if I ever make this into a book, I'm putting that in. Like
Nice.
that is
Go
going
for
to be
it.
that is going to be the opening quote for that particular segment. Now,
Take it.
I also have to say, just a side note here, from everything that we've hit so far, this is definitely the place any isekai protagonist gets sucked to.
Oh my god.
This is their starting area.
Yeah.
the main one that comes to mind when it comes to this is the hero is overpowered but overly cautious.
Oh, I like that show though.
I don't know though. To me, it sounds like something like you get to the end, near the end of the game or something.
Basically,
Like
Actually,
remember,
Let me raise you one. This is a post game dungeon. The whole Republic is a post game dungeon that you would see in a game made by Tri-Ace.
oh god.
See, I only have one question. Was I reincarnated as a slime or not?
Oh.
Doku Yitsukai. Anyway, so for Creed, I believe this one is yours, Maddie.
Oh my god.
Let's see what we get for Creed.
Okay. For Creed, you have pure anima. So you got to pick. So give me an element.
Have fun.
For Creed?
Mm-hmm.
How many directions do we dare want to go with this?
Which ones have we already tagged? Which ones haven't we?
Pick fire. Just do it. Pick fire.
Fuck it. Yeah, fire.
Fire. Fire is God Kings.
Well, like that's I think we hit the royal flush here, guys.
Holy shit, we've God Kings in an island that like with like Pandora's boxes that pop out of nowhere, and I don't even know how to explain this.
If it helps, let me give the description that the book gives regarding God Kings. It says many civilizations worship their rulers as divine, especially those who are bound by oppressive rule or ancient tradition. Whether the worship of the people actually confers divine power may depend on the realm itself. With this, God Kings are very likely to possess actual supernatural power over their realm or be spiritually connected to it, in such capacity that they actually do cause the sun to rise and set, or whatever else their claims to divinity may be.
So, in other words, you looked at Valhalla and said, "That's cute. Hold my beer."
Wow. This is truly Estar from Final Fantasy VIII.
We found the full planet. We're literal kings, and the Creed is Creed. I don't even know what the fuck to do now.
You literally took an entire nation in this fantasy setting and said, Mount Olympus? Yeah, let's make a nation out of that.
We basically took Greek gods and the God. I don't know.
The only thing that I can guess, because this republic isn't crazy enough, is we are dealing with a literal incarnation of the Chinese celestial bureaucracy.
Oh God, the Jade Emperor and everything else.
Yep.
Fuck.
Someone sneezed in a way that was displeasing, and all of a sudden, an aristocrat, a low-level aristocrat, came down flying on a fucking dragon, saying, "Who the fuck sneezed that way?"
So, Maddie, if you'll allow me to interject a little, would and if it's okay with you, Mildra.
If it's okay with Maddie,
I'm gonna need help.
I need a little help. I can definitely give a hand here. So we have what Doku said about how the place is wondrous because everybody strives to be a legend, and if you're in a land of legends, the only place you can go is up. So the God Kings have to be the most legendary. So legendary that they've gotten lucky with their Pandora's boxes to the point that, as Mildred said with the description, they really are supernatural beings. They have the power to subvert time and space itself.
Again, if you're not making mansions out of mountains, then you're underachieving.
Yep, and guess what? In this world, one of these God Kings could be a fucking end boss.
One of them could be an end boss. One of the God Kings, literally. We talked about the mountains, the topography changing decades. He says that for decades, that's one of the God Kings doing that right there. So
the Ouroboros snake.
But the God King looks at the entire country like they would do like they would renovate their house. this was nice and all, but I could use some change.
Oh,
And
the thing
So
is,
you're saying that he probably could have command Ouroboroses and shit?
Well, if he's a god, yes, most definitely he could command the wildlife to do whatever the fuck he pleases.
the thing is, I'm not saying this
Yup.
seriously, but I'm saying this mildly jokingly. Our wonderful nation that is a desert. Maybe that's just somebody sneezing and the booger's what landed.
No,
That's true.
this is literally one of the God Kings. This could be one of the God Kings' revenge. Like, literally, the guy showed
fire.
that, there was a rivalry. There was a dispute, and what became the God King lost. Happened to open the box, but instead of dying or losing something significant, he hit the fucking jackpot. What happened to the other guy? Look at the fucking crater in the desert.
There you go.
So basically, because of that conflict, so it's sort of like some guy getting knocked the fuck out turned out to be the Hephaestus of this continent.
I would say one of these legendary individuals had a tablet with One Punch Man loaded on it, and they saw the second episode, decided, that's actually a good idea.
Essentially, one of the God Kings said, "You know what? Fuck this guy." Punch.
Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy in particular.
Just that one guy.
Yeah.
And instead of like a simple punch, he decided to nuke an entire country.
And
who's to say that the person presiding over our wonderful desert nation doesn't happen to be from that nation?
He could have come from Kurdotosia. And this also explains why it's a meritocracy. Anybody can become a god king with the right luck and enough skill to get enough Pandora's boxes. So they're already doing magical things by killing, these wondrous epic beasts and opening these boxes and getting masterful power from them. Even though there is a terrible cost incurred at some point. But with enough perseverance and avoiding misfortune enough times, the things you worship become the things you are.
You literally live in a society where even the most mundane trader is still more powerful than All Might.
We live in a society, Doku. We live in a society.
Yes, we do.
It's literally, and this society is literally Cheers, the bar, except everyone is Norm, and everyone is pretty much has the strength of 10 freaking Hulks.
I'm gonna assume that everyone outside this place, well, let's just say you don't want to even know about it. Or basically, it's completely cut off. That it's gone to the point of myth, and a couple mad lads from the surrounding areas probably say, "Oh, let's have a look at that." Yeah.
Well, it is an entire nation.
Have to say, "Welcome, have fun, fucker."
Well, keep in mind, it is an entire nation that is high enough above sea level that it's quite literally in the clouds.
Mount Everest, like, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it.
I really like this. I like this place. I'm gonna retire in Kodortosia. That's where I'll retire.
So
Every day is a new Avengers movie.
for the next one, do you want to go? Do you want to go straight? Do you want to go straight east, or do you want to go southeast?
All right. Let's settle it with a die roll. Odd for east, even for southeast. All right.
Actually, hey Aaron,
What's up?
who's the next person who's gonna go? Like, who's
I
on
gotta
deck?
go. Actually, I have to.
Yeah,
I
that's
have to
right.
go, actually, so This was fun, boys. But I must retire.
All right.
I'll see you on the top of Mount Olympus, Maddie.
Keep the beer cold. Keep the beer cold.
Oh, I'll make sure it's ice cold and I'll have a keg.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
All right, Maddie, have a good one, brother. But Aaron, whoever's on deck, let them choose.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so who picks next, Mildred? Whoever goes next gets the first pick.
So, honestly, if we're going down the pattern, you'd be next.
Okay, then. Well, since the die has landed on...
Actually, Maddie ended on Creed.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that's where...
In that case, my mistake, Xanatrix, you pick.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to go to the Kenevaresian Theocracy. Choose the middle path. You said straight east or southeast, and I said I choose the middle path.
Okay. We're going to the
Kenevaresian Theocracy. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's what you get from random generators.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever make this into a book, I'm not. When it comes to the title part, whether it be Principality or Grand Duchy or Republic, I may keep that, but the other parts I may change to something a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
And something a little bit easier for you to read.
More pithy, more easier and more pithier.
All I care about is you better keep Duchy, because otherwise my joke about Duchy of Sucky Sucky is going to fall flat.
I'd imagine that the Duchy of Sucky Sucky is a popular cartoon in the Principality.
Well, perhaps maybe someone by the name of Alyssa with the last name of Milano might reside there.
Nah, I don't know. They probably would make her an outcast.
Anyway,
It depends.
so we're dealing with the Kenev Theocracy, and we're starting with terrain. So that's what you've got. That's what you've got.
All right.
And your draw for terrain is well. Let's see how you can make this one work. You drew air, and your terrain is seaside.
Well, I mean, considering it's right next to the sea, has a pretty big inlet straight into its center, and the fact that just to the west of it is the land of fantastic mountains, it makes sense that this is a much lower area closer to the sea. This theocracy is going to be based in everything flows to that central inlet, and all the way out to its equivalent of the Rock of Gibraltar. So it's almost like having its own Mediterranean Sea on the inside. And because of that, it's going to influence how all of the cities are going to be built around that. Not a lot of cities are going to be out towards the outer masses. Most of everything is going to be around that seaside, because if you go further away from that, some of the fantastic beasties from Coder Tosia might get you.
Oh.
It's close enough to the border if you go too far away from the sea that you're gonna get got. And essentially, for their own protection, as well as due to the fact that all roads in this case, instead of going to Rome, go to the sea, all of the wildlife is going to be there that they're going to be hunting and all that fun stuff. And I'm guessing that most of the outlying area is pretty barren, because sometimes dragons sneeze, nuclear fireballs. So, really, at this point, Coder Tosia is shaping the world. outright because of where it is and how it is. It's going to be shaping the rest of the world.
All right. So next is Aaron, and you've got technology,
Okay.
and you drew pure anima.
Oh, okay. Let's see. What have we tried so far here? Okay, so we have tried. Okay, so we have tried. Okay, so we've tried electricity. We've tried steam. We've tried. Which one that I haven't picked yet?
We've only had stone once.
Okay, so we had stone. We had electricity. We had fire. Was it?
We've had fire twice, I believe.
Okay, let's go for water.
Water, which means that the Kenevs have biotechnology.
Oh
Well-
boy, here we go.
All right. So considering they're in the seaside, everything they basically the rule is this: stay in the water, you'll be fine. So what they do is anyone ever played Red Alert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remote controlled, tameable controlled dolphins.
So they control the flora and fauna by integrating with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, since this is biotechnology, they have more natural ways of doing so through making like some sort of a set. I would say like salves or some sort of weird alchemy, some sort of natural alchemy to control all this, to control all the fauna and use it to their advantage. But here's the problem. You can't do that with the god beasts, as they call them.
So
they don't fuck with god beasts, says they're not of the land.
So they leave the Codertosian animals alone because the Codertosian animals can't be controlled.
Exactly.
I wouldn't.
They call them god beasts. He's over in Kenev.
Yep, makes sense.
All right. So, next is Doku, and you've got government, and I know this is referred to as a theocracy in the title, but in your case, you drew stone, which means that this is a kingdom.
Okay. Huh. Just give me the balancing act, why don't you? All right. It's a kingdom. It's a theocracy. Well, fairly straightforward. Because of the country to the north, they have a very staunch way of looking at things. And because their livelihood essentially comes from this ocean, Mediterranean Sea, Great Lakes centric style of living, and they're very much what's the right word? What am I looking for? They have a certain way of they have a certain way of doing things, and anything outside of that way of doing things is viewed as dangerous or threatening. Like, let's be honest, you don't want to necessarily go north, And if you do, you sure as hell don't want to come back south because one of those god beasts might come down and destroy an entire village. And so they do have a theocratic way of looking at things, not simply from a religious standpoint, but simply because survival might be predicated on
fear
that.
point.
And
it's more of a fear point, you're saying, right?
Dogma.
Oh, and also because, well, they're called god beasts, aren't they?
Yep.
Let's not upset the god beasts.
Mm-hmm.
And so their pope, which would be their theocratic king.
Well, and when we get to some of the other elements, I would say it would probably be reasonable that some of their leadership might or might not come from the country that has these god beasts.
Oh, it's a branch of failed god kings. Oh, that might be interesting.
Potentially.
So, next is wildlife, and I believe that's going to go to you. That's going to go to you, Xana. And your draw for wildlife is oh boy. This is gonna be a fun one, and you're probably gonna laugh your ass off at this. You drew electricity.
Okay.
Which means the wildlife is aberrant.
Aberrant.
Okay. All right. Now we're talking. So the king and his or queen or whomever the leader may be in their great wisdom. The reason they have the biotechnology is because it's runoff from the Pandoran technology of Codertosia. It's what was safe, what was left over. And in their great wisdom, they developed a biotechnology to try and control the flora and fauna around them. But they didn't get it right the first time. Didn't even get it right the second time. In fact, they never got it right. Sure, they can control the wildlife. Sure. It's well within their means. But what that control does is warp it. Whereas in most normal kingdoms, you'd have fish. In most normal sea kingdoms like this, you'd have a lot of fish. You know, maybe some pod mammals like whales and dolphins. And along the land, you'd have some smaller types of pack animals. You'd have your wolves and your deer and all of those sorts of things coming to the surrounding lushness fed by this inlet of water. They're all off. They're all... It's like the uncanny valley. The longer you look, the worse it gets. The deer have 7 eyes and antlers that don't branch correctly anymore. The fish aren't really fish anymore. They're more like... They more crawl along the seabed rather than actually swimming now.
So, they're mutants.
Mm-hmm. But not only that, some of the bigger animals, things like whales, they're completely unrecognizable as what they once were. In fact, there's a danger going out to their equivalent to the Rock of Gibraltar, which I am going to tentatively call the Rock of Ages. Because what happened there was after ages and ages of controlling these animals and mutating them, the whale pods have become a sort of natural barrier as well as a natural protector. They're seaborne gelatinous blobs, and it's exactly as you would think of as a gelatinous whatever. They melt things. They eat things.
So they're big-ass jellyfish, you're saying, right?
Big-ass gelatinous cubes in the water, Aaron. Big-ass gelatinous cubes.
Hey, everybody's got room for a 5x5 square of Jell-O.
You're basically talking about Hamadon from City of Heroes.
Something along the lines. But just because the whales have turned into gelatinous cubes doesn't mean they stopped listening to the kingdom, the one that imbued them with the biotech. And on top of that, the people themselves have started to become aberrant. Because it's a lot slower, but as they use that biotechnology to take traits from the flora and fauna around them, as the flora and fauna changes, so do the traits they take. So you might see a person from the theocracy here. Their skin might be a little more, what's the word, pliant or moist than others. Or they may have nubs of bone growth along their skull, because they take these bioorganic traits from the warped beings, and they themselves are warped.
All right, makes sense. Now, let's see. So next is culture, and I believe this is going up to you, Aaron.
Okay.
Let's see. And you drew stone, which means that the culture in question is industrious.
Industrious. Well, seeing that they're off a coast, yeah, it's pretty obvious that this nation, this theocracy, is a trade hub. In fact, anybody coming from the eastern continent, this is pretty much your first stop. But people just don't stand there and just hang out there for vacation. No, because of the nature of the land, this is a thoroughfare to like the other southern countries. Only thing is, they they want to keep close to the coast as possible, so don't expect any roads going into Ursicalia. You're going to have to go through Olaronia first, and we'll talk about that later. So they only go north and south. The reason of that? Avoid God Beast territory. Now, because of that, all the towns across the coastline have become very successful for when it comes to trade, and due to their nature, they have become. This is a fairly wealthy nation. Once you get past all the mutations, you can find that the people are pretty decent enough.
All right. So next is society, and this is going to you, Doku.
All right.
So your draw for society and I'm going to hopefully make sure. I'm going to hope that you're not walking a tightrope again, but no promises.
I'll manage.
You drew water, which means that you are dealing with a nomadic society.
Okay, well, oddly enough, the strange thing about the society is they're very much traders. They see people come in from far off lands that to them sound exotic, something that they're familiar with, considering that to a certain region there are things like God Beast going around. It would be very difficult to surprise these individuals with the grandiose or the extreme or the legendary or something that just you would normally look at and say, there's no way in hell. No, they've seen it, they've done it, they've heard it, they've breathed it, they've smelt it, and that's just daily life to them. Knowing that and knowing how the environment is around them being so up in the air crazy, and then hearing stories from travelers from far and wide and also local, they do have this sense of they like to go out and explore. They like to see, well, they like to see something that would surprise them. So, in that sense of exploration, it wouldn't be uncommon for you to say, oh, I saw this thing on my way over here from this place over here, and then somebody's child decides, I'm going to go over there and do that to see what it was all about. They're brazen, strong-willed, and for lack of a better term, kind of full of themselves. If I can survive an encounter with a god beast, then what can the sea bring to me? Only one way to find out.
Now, let's see. So the last one for the theocracy for the Kenevs is Creed, and that is going to use Xanatrix. And
all right.
And their particular creed. The element of choice here is darkness, which means the keyword that you have to go with is cults.
Okay.
All right. So, the god beasts, forces of nature that they must avoid, but they revere. The cults surround the beasts that they have seen or have legend of. Each cult for a different beast, even if the beast may be dead. And because of their belief in these beasts, being both forces of natures and curses upon them, but also boons when they bring in new change, their fervent and steadfast adherence to the avoidance of god beasts allows them to supernaturally avoid notice. The actual supernatural element to this cult is twofold. Each smaller cult around the large central cult that the king is actually the head of it gains some small boon from whichever god beast it worships. And there's a specific way to set up your altar, and a specific type of sacrifice that is required, and specific bioorganic traits you must take, and specific ones you have to reject. So this leads to a very diverse society in real diversity. And it also leads to a society of people who, because they are industrious and trade, and because they are nomadic, know very well how to fill in for each other's weaknesses and enhance each other's strengths. At the center of it all is the linchpin, the king. He leads the top cult, the cult that is the hub of a wheel, the spokes radiating out to these side cults. And that cult not only worships all god beasts, but worships what they see to be the god beast of god beasts, a legendary figure that they've never actually seen, but they know has to exist, because if not, all the god beasts would run amok across the world. Nobody would be able to survive. Something has to control them, and thus there must be a god beast above all others. And because all of the side cults radiate out from the central cult, they get the very first boon of the central cult, which is the supernatural power to avoid notice when a god beast is. These people survive when god beasts are around, not only because they're smart enough to see it coming from a mile off and going, I don't want any part of that, but also because they're like, oh please don't see me, oh please don't see me, and their prayers are answered.
I think that hits the theology nail on the head.
Yep. Well, on top of that, the worship of the god beast of god beasts is what allows their bioorganic technology to be so effective. Too effective. The worship of this king of god beasts, this god of god beasts, is what is causing the aberrations. The infection, the psychic infection from this cult-like mentality is what is changing the wildlife and changing the people. But it's not necessarily malicious or even harmful.
Sounds rather tyrannid.
More Orc-Wa, the psychic gestalt field.
Oh, so is it Gork or Mork?
Well, it's the cunningly brutal one. Or maybe it was the brutally cunning one.
Fuck both of you. So, if you zoom in a bit, you'll probably see a small nation that is called Kappa Bon Yahavia. We will not be doing that because we are going to integrate that into the Kenev theocracy. The approach that I'm having is that this particular place is to the Kenevs what Valencia is to Spain. It's part of the nation, but it's run autonomously.
So they are, but they aren't.
So it's the anti-cult. It's where the last remaining pure humans are.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Kenevs look at them as backwards.
Backwards and batshit crazy.
Mm-hmm. My suggestion is let's take it a step further. Let's say there's no corruption. Like, let's say this is the normal place by comparison.
Yeah, the last remaining pure humans.
Yeah, it's probably a place where some ships where some sailors from the other continent might greet the Kenevs before they go deeper in.
Yeah.
At least that's what it was at first, before more and more sailors started going back and forth, and the Kenevs started becoming less weird to sailors.
Yeah.
And now it's just a case of it's just the normies up there.
So basically, it's one gigantic city state, which would make sense.
And actually, just to add a little bit of flavor, one of the towns over there is built on a gravesite of potentially a very large, powerful beast.
Yeah. Now, do you guys want to go north or south?
Who's next?
I think Doku should be the next one to start. He hasn't gotten to start yet.
Yeah. So Doku, so are we going north or south?
Let's go north.
All right. So north is Nalarokia. And you're starting with terrain. And the terrain that you draw is stone, which means you're dealing with caverns.
Okay, Nalarokia is north of the land of gods and legends. Except it's
north of the Kenevs and east of the Courtours.
Okay, so north and east, got ya. That actually doesn't change my concept then. It is indeed close to the land of the ambitious, the godlike, the mythological. It's surrounded by great things, powerful things that would make anyone envious. Unfortunately, this land is, well, to call it mundane would be a compliment. It is not exactly a nice place. It's not a bad place.
It's pretty roped.
But it's very average. Not in a good way. It's average in the sense that to look to your left, to look to your right, to look to your north, look to the south, there's something better surrounding you from all aspects. Now, what this land does have is that it is protected from what would be considered dangerous. It's a safe place. It's a nice place. It's Well, those caverns that come from the mountains to the east, the nice water that comes, strangely enough, from the mountains that flows down into the south, provide you with a decent amount of trade. It provides you with decent walkways, waterways, and for lack of a better term, you're kind of just happy living where you're living. The one thing that's not nice about the terrain is that it never changes.
Would it be fair to say that this is a place that has a lot of people living in underground networks and a lot of underground lakes?
They would have to. And not necessarily by choice, it's just that's where the majority of your trade comes from, and again, it provides protection.
Oh.
It's not again, it's not a nice place, but it's the best thing that you're going to have by comparison to what you're surrounded by.
All right. So next is Xanatrix, and you've got technology.
Awesome.
And you ended up drawing Pure Anima.
We still haven't gotten an ether card. I kind of just want to pick it to see what happens. I know you're not supposed to with Pure Anima, but...
And Matt, something like that. This started out as an experiment that is getting way out of hand, and I love it. So, give me an element. What do you got?
Could you give me the list of elements again?
I got it right here. It's fire, light, electricity, water, stone, darkness, and air.
I'm just going to give my 2 cents. Go with air.
Have we gone with air for technology before?
Yes.
I don't think, yeah.
You did with Urskelia.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, we already did that then.
I'm gonna go with darkness then. Again.
You're gonna go with darkness again.
Because if it's a safe place, we gotta make it unsafe somehow.
Darkness is Pandoran tech.
I know. That's why I said I want to go with darkness again. No, fine. We'll go with light. We'll go with light.
Okay, we'll go with light. Light is thalmic technology.
Thalmic technology, as in Magitech?
Let me read what it says, and it's probably not too far off. It says, "Thalmic technology blesses the realm with wonders that are impossible to achieve with science. Medicine in these areas is especially impressive, as are destructive weapons and elemental-aligned tools. Most weapon and gear wonders are created in realms that have thalmic technology."
Yeah, so it's Magitech.
Oh, great. You're going to start a civil war with the fucking God Beast. Gotcha.
No. Okay, so the technology that caused this place to be caverns in the first place is in response to seeing what was happening with the Pandoran technology. These people saw what happened with the Kotors. They saw how that technology was grandiose and, by all means, beyond reckoning, but also the absolute devastation it could bring. And so they rejected that path. Instead, they have decided to use the specific aura of their country, the specific magical energy that they found in this small area. Possibly, maybe there was the corpse of a god king there. And they extracted that. And they built upon it to create a system of resonant crystals, magical metals, and other such paraphernalia as is recognizable from extreme high fantasy. And because of it, the very first thing they did is said, we need protection, we need a bulwark. And they created their land of caverns. And after that, the magic sustains the caverns. There aren't really any cave-ins. There aren't really any changes. because the magical arrays keep these stones in place. They keep the reservoirs full, but hidden away in the deep places that only a precious few know about. There are still those arrangements of lenses and jewels, crystals, and metals that, if pointed at the stars, could bring about magnificent destruction. On the other hand, they still use other tools to this day. As the Thalmic technology entry points out, medicine is fantastic. These people, they don't get sick. They each have a personal pendant they're given from birth that maintains them and keeps them healthy and hale. Now, of course, this isn't going to say allow them to grow back an arm if it gets cut off. That's going to actually require a magical healer to reattach the arm. But they don't get sick. Small cuts, bruises, things like that, they heal up real quick. And for the most part, that makes these people happy. And also allows them to pursue more esoteric pursuits. In the end, this Thalmic tech is used in the most mundane, safest way possible. It gives them a roof, clothing, food and water, and a healthy life. But the potential for war power is always there in the event that they need it.
All right. I like where this is going. And I could easily see this particular area having a lot of the kind of crystals that you might see in a Final Fantasy game.
Exactly. The pendants are definitely powered by elemental crystals, or even if they're some very rare crystals of a more esoteric nature. Mm-hmm. Rather than, say, you have a fire crystal for that young firebrand down the hallway who's always getting into trouble because he's always trying to explore the caverns. Well, his old childhood friend, she could have a crystal more of time, something you wouldn't normally see. But it always allows her to be one step ahead of him, to keep him from getting too far and too hurt.
All right. So next is government. Right. And this one's going to you, Aaron. So let me make sure I got this set up. So stone and light. I am taking notes about this because I may consider trying to make this into a little book. It might take a while for obvious reasons, and some of the character builds you've mentioned might make decent classes. Although obviously if I do this, would I use D&D for this? No.
No.
Would I use 13th Age for this? Maybe. Would I use Fantasy Crafts for this? Probably. I think that'd be flexible. Would I use Savage Worlds? GMD Core? Those are a bit more likely. I'd want to use something that can be high-powered and flexible without having to rely on certain traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have the God Kings of Kodertosia going on there.
Yeah, how the fuck am I going to balance that?
You're not. They're going to be exalts. They're going to be exalts, except even worse.
Oh God. So for government, Aaron, you ended up drawing that you ended up drawing air, which means this is going to be an aristocracy.
Well, it's no surprise. It's no surprise it's an aristocracy that they're doing that. There's a lot of pretty jewels that can be mined and made from all this Thalmic technology. So expect a lot of women wearing a lot of freaking jewelry. The higher their status symbol, the more their fucking jewelry. Like for instance, one of the higher castes. Well, don't be surprised if they're calling cars a little. If their crystals are making like weird like pleasant sounds, if you will, like ding ding ding, and all that crap like that. Which means they're wearing a lot of bling.
And would you say then that since they are wearing more jewelry, it's also used to enhance their inherent magical power?
Yep.
All right, I can definitely go with that. I'd imagine that this particular society is a bit feudalistic, where instead of having one king or one body having the majority of the rule, you have a bunch of fiefdoms all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
Each of them being based on a certain lineage.
And I would imagine that each fiefdom has a secret. Each has their own secret cache of war weapons still hidden away, based on their lineage.
Well, there's probably that, and there's probably also the fact that you could probably tell where they're from based on how their gems are cut,
and what element or magic they use.
So next is wildlife, and I believe this one's going to Doku.
Okay.
So, Doku, for wildlife, let's see what you end up drawing. I think I need to get a card shuffler one of these days.
Yeah, don't worry. I can wait. I'm patient.
Well, get yourself one of those shoes that they use over in Vegas.
You got air, so we're dealing with organized wildlife.
Makes sense.
Organized makes sense.
Yeah, organized wildlife because of the structure of the terrain and also the culture of people that inhabit this land. The wildlife has indeed adapted. They like to hunt in packs. They do not like to be caught out in the open. They are not only intelligent but methodical about their hunting method, and they're extremely dangerous.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. So it's definitely a case of if you're going out hunting for food, don't go out hunting alone, because they're not going to go out hunting alone.
Not unless you have big magic.
Very much so, and also it's not just a fact of don't go out hunting alone, but don't go hunting in areas that you're unfamiliar with, because whatever you might encounter is probably more familiar with the area than you are.
All right, so I like where this is going. So Xanatrix, you're up next, and you have culture.
All right.
And for what it's worth, when it comes to drawing pure anima or either, I'm having them work the same way. So you draw one of those, and it's a joker.
Okay.
So you ended up drawing water, which means that we are dealing with a artisan culture.
Well, that makes perfect sense. They've got to spruce up the mundanity somehow, and they do it with all of their personal effects. Like we've said, the caves are mundane, the lakes mundane, the wildlife has become organized because it's the only way they know how to hunt now. Because, well, their entire ecosystem has become organized and uniform in most senses. So instead, the way that the artisanry takes place is in two ways. One, infrastructure. So buildings, that, since they do have to be built out of the caverns, still need to remain very sturdy. They can't just willy-nilly carve out and then, accidentally cause a cave-in. They actually have to change the arrays of their cities as they add new buildings. And so the array itself is what is artistic. It's made with fantastic metals, the normal gold and silver you might expect, but even then, metals that don't really have names. Maybe some is the legendary orichalcum, or maybe you have a metal as dark as ebony, for a more Elder Scrolls reference. In this respect, you even have at the center of most city arrays adamantite, indestructible, so make sure that the central linchpin can't be pulled out. And then on their persons, especially as you start getting into the aristocracy, their pendants and the rest of their accoutrement that adds to their own personal magic array is filigreed and brazened, and it has all of the same types of flourish that you would expect on candlesticks in Windsor Palace or something. You would expect it to have gone to a master goldsmith who very delicately put the leaf on, pulled out the wires, made sure everything was perfect. And with the aristocrats, it almost makes their personal arrays, which can get quite extensive. There are some personal arrays for some of the aristocrats that start at the pendant on their neck and branch out across their shoulders, down their arms, down their torsos, belting at their waist. The highest aristocrats, their own personal arrays are their clothes. It's overlaid on their cloth jerkins, and it's just this long array of gems and lenses, metals, all very delicate but strong because of the magic. And the more of it they have, the more of it they can use. So the highest aristocrats are the artisans. It takes a masterful control of the magic to be able to make arrays that delicate looking while still remaining strong. And so only those with the best control of magic can make them. So in the end, not only is it an aristocracy, it's an artisan aristocracy. The artisans are the ruling power.
All right, I like where this is going. So, now I know some people might look at some part of this and say that we're dealing with dwarves.
No.
No, we're dealing with underground elves. There's too much magic.
We're dealing with the kind of dark elves that Doku and I would write about.
He's not wrong.
Because we would rather have dark elves in the style of Kingdom Under Fire or Record of Lodos War than D&D dark elves.
Yeah, Lodos War's dark elves are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to elaborate on that point a little bit, we're not dealing with a culture that uses brute strength and heat to forge metal, but more uses magic to forge metal.
Yeah.
Very much an elvish thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the art is all in the use of magic, and because of it, the best artists are the rulers.
Yep. So next is society, and oh boy,
We sure live in one.
Yep, and I believe this one's on you, Aaron.
All right.
So, you ended up getting a draw of darkness, which means your prompt is underworld.
Makes perfect sense.
Well, here we go.
Well, here's the well, considering that there's goddamn epic wildlife circling around the place. Let's just put it this way: they hardly ever go straight far from the caverns. Basically, it's this: they see the sun, they better not stick around too long. Okay, the only way that they're safe is if they're going out to sea. Of course, avoiding Kenev and all the crapshoot creatures that could be milling about over there. So if they are traveling, believe me, they're only going by boat. They are not going by land. So their society. So because of that, it's best to stay within the caverns where they know that they won't be BTFO'd by these freaking epic creatures milling about.
I'd imagine that they keep some outposts in the entrances to certain caves as a kind of formality, but that's as far as they go.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, the only venture outside if they're going on boats, and those boats are, considering they're artisan, well, they're very pretty. They're pretty practical, but it's very very pretty to look at. I mean, seeing a vessel come right out of Nalarokia is a spectacle to behold. There's people that are awed by the sight of one.
And I can definitely go with it. I can definitely go with that. I'd imagine that every boat is akin to it. Even small boats are akin to a yacht.
Yeah.
So next is Creed, and that one's going to you, Doku.
Oh, one last thing before I go on. If they do travel outside, out in the sun, and they're nowhere near their home, like say for instance they go to the eastern continent, or they go to Ursa Kelly or something like that, they'll be carrying umbrellas because they're very sensitive to the sun.
All right.
Very dark elf.
Yep. So the last one for Nalarokia is Creed. And for this one's going to be on you, Doku, and you drew electricity. So you're dealing with a place that. Sorry about the pauses. I'm hearing some really loud lightning outside. You're dealing with
electricity.
Yep. You're dealing with a rational civilization.
See, I was hoping for something where I could actually torment this poor population, but you gave me probably the best one that you could give me. And they're a rational population. They understand what's good, what's bad, why you do certain things, why you don't do certain things. They're very much a culture of necessity and safety first, and despite the fact that there is some grandiose elements to the society, it's the necessity that they care about. Yeah, things look pretty. Yes, there is a very, very well trained, established society of creating certain elements that are, certain crafts that are very, you're only going to find it here. But everything that they do as a society stems ultimately from necessity. The only reason that they're as good at what they do is simply because they've had such a long time to practice and perfect it.
All right. So, that's it. So that's Nalarokia, which would probably be nicknamed as the Land of the Gems. And I'd imagine if they have a flag, it would have some sort of emerald shape to it.
I would also imagine that if you were to buy a piece of jewelry, or I would say that even the Land of the Gods would look at a wedding ring crafted by these individuals and recognize how incredibly well crafted it was.
Yeah, and that'd probably get added to somebody's legend book.
Probably. And that would probably also have a magic element to it as well, which I'm pretty sure the Land of the Gods would look favorably upon.
Yep. So next we gotta head south to Owl Aronia. Now, let's see who hasn't started yet.
I think at this point we all have. We gave Doku a turn this time because he hadn't gotten one yet.
Well, I started twice, and Xander's trick started twice, so I think it's only right Doku get another turn.
All right,
Yep.
Doku, you've got terrain.
All right, well, let me know what my element is, and I will do something for you.
All right then. Your element is going to be plains because you drew light.
Okay, where? Just remind me, where is this in location regards to what regions we've done thus
East
far?
of Erskelia, south of Kenev. So
Well,
south of the seaside, east of the desert.
So the thing about this region is it's almost unnaturally flat. You don't necessarily know why. You could understand and probably believe that the desert crater is the way it is for certain reasons. You could understand why there's certain caverns in certain other regions. You might understand why there is a marshland that is, for God knows why, north, but still hasn't been frozen over yet. This region is very flat, nice tall grass, knee-high grass. There is goats, fowl, even cattle seems to do very nice here. There's very calm rivers. Fishing is abundant. At certain points, the rivers are actually wide enough that trade isn't exactly a difficult thing to engage in. It would almost be remiss to say that the land itself is unnaturally peaceful and picturesque. Why? Who knows? But it is very much the land of golden grass and milk and honey.
It's an idyllic landscape.
Strangely idyllic. Mm-hmm. Idyllic to the point where it's uncomfortable.
Uncanny Valley time again.
All right.
And I would say, just a quick aside to end on this note, it's idyllically uncomfortable simply for the reason that it's surrounded by areas that are not nearly as idyllic.
So it's too perfect. Got it. Something that's too perfect seems off.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
We'll say the land itself is blessed.
So next is technology. And for this one, and I'm glad I'm not outside right now, because I can hear this shit pounding.
Electricity?
Yep. Next. So Xanatrix, you drew electricity, which means Neotech.
Neotech again. Could you give me the exact entry for Neotech? I want to see if I can build on it.
All right. Says Neotech. Space-age technology is information-driven and powered by sound, repeatable logic, often powered by clean energy such as light or the internal heat of the earth, or even the blessing of one of the great spirits. This technology can overcome the laws of physics through ingenuity and hard science. The wonders produced by these societies are most commonly classified as tools, and allow powers such as flight, teleportation, or protection. These realms may also have space programs to explore the world beyond, though they do not necessarily share the same cosmos.
Okay.
Let's ignore the space part about that.
Yeah, obviously. We're just exploring our own world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, it'd be hard to get to space when a dragon lasers down every shuttle you send up.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
And also, if you're going to go with Neotech, I'll just follow up / lead in too. I did say the land was blessed and almost too idealistic or perfect, so
Yep. So
torment them, torture them.
torment them, torture them. No. I think we're gonna make this idyllic land too idyllic to be comfortable.
You're
So
more evil than I am.
be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. So their Neotech is without aggression. They don't build weapons because they don't have to. Anytime they need the energy for whatever project they may have, it's there because of the spirit of the land that is keeping it perfect. Need more energy to power your city? All of a sudden there is some. Need to make sure that enemies can't get to your city? Your city can't be found. It becomes cloaked or otherwise inaccessible, maybe even intangible and phased out of existence for a while. Unnoticeable to you and you as an inhabitant, but also unnoticeable to anyone trying to invade you. Because of this technology, they're a somewhat isolated people. They don't trade their technology. In fact, Ursakelia probably doesn't even think about them. And the people of the Kenevs probably travel through that land thinking it's uninhabited. Because this technology is so perfect about keeping these people safe that the people of this country don't know that there's anyone else in the world. They don't know about the god beasts. They don't know about the god kings. They don't know about the people in the caverns. They don't know about the people in the desert. They don't know about the aberrations just outside the sea. The technology keeps them safe. And they wouldn't want to betray their friend, the technology, now would they? It's almost like you could say it's their alpha and their omega and constantly watching.
In a way, they're almost tragically isolated.
I was gonna make a Wakanda joke, but I think Wakandans have it better than this.
Oh, well, just remember, the technology chooses its users, and sometimes if the technology's having issues, they have to go troubleshoot things.
This
But
is
you know, you don't
a joke, isn't it?
You don't have ultraviolet clearance. I can't tell you if that's true or not. Sorry.
You really think you're slick? Like you'd let that one slip by me and I wouldn't know.
It was until I told you that they were going to be troubleshooting things. I did that to the nail on the head.
How often do they eat cake?
As often as they'd like to. It's provided to them.
That answers my question.
Oh boy, God.
I'm pretty sure every firstborn son is named David.
There was probably a year like that. I don't know about this year, though. I'll have to ask the Great Spirit of the land.
Well, as long as they're not named Orion, we'll be okay.
All right. So, next is government, and this one's going to you, Aaron.
All right.
So you ended up drawing, and this will be an interesting one given how idyllic this place is. You ended up drawing water, which means you're dealing with a meritocracy.
A communist meritocracy? How does that work?
Well, actually, it's not run by a person.
Mm-hmm.
Think how.
I'm afraid
It's run by the Great Spirit that gives it everything else.
It's basically run by Hal.
And Hal measures your achievements.
Yep. It's basically a Hal-style AI measures your achievements.
It really is friend computer.
Pretty much. Except it's not nearly as glitchy, and it's nowhere near as a crapshoot as the actual HAL from 2001.
So we're dealing with an AI that is truly built for benevolence.
Mm-hmm. And remember I told you why some of the paths have to go through there instead of going through the territory. You got to deal with those epic beasts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no one knows how the roads were built. It was just there. It's like, so anyone passed there, they think it's ahead, but for some reason the roads are pretty advanced. Who do you think created these roads?
Turing machine.
It's the AI. The AI created all those roads so traders can go in peace, and the inhabitants of this country will not have to bother them, and vice versa. Unless in the rare case they do need something.
I wasn't aware that Oprah and Elon Musk were in a joint venture.
You get a road, and you get a road. Everybody gets a road!
All right. Next is wildlife. And let's see. For this one, this is on you, Doku, and you wanted to have some fun with one. I think you'll get it because you drew darkness, which means that you're dealing with unnatural. So you're dealing with undead, ghosts, elementals, that kind of thing.
Ooh.
Oh. Okay, now I have a personal dilemma. Do I want to do what I want to do, or do I be a dick? I'm leaning to the side of I want to be a dick.
But if you keep it idyllic, it just gets creepier, remember?
It does, and that's exactly what I mean by I'm going to be a dick.
Drop the pretense. You're going to be a dick no matter what I say.
Yeah, but it's the flavor of dick. And I'm going to give you the most dickish flavor I can.
Phrasing.
first off, drink, and second off, Xantrax, what do you want as a pet?
What do I personally?
What's your most idealistic pet?
My most idealistic pet right now is a Leonberger dog. I love Leonbergers. They are cute and fluffy and very friendly.
Well, that's what you get. Mildred, what do you want as a pet?
Red-tailed hawk.
There you go. Aaron, what about you?
Himalayan cat.
Well, there you go. Whatever you want as a pet, that's what wildlife is in this world. It's idealistic. You get whatever you want. It is the best pet you'll ever have.
So, okay. So earlier, Xanatrix talked about how the technology chooses its user. Are we dealing with a case where certain wildlife chooses who they're going to be a particular pet, i.e., everybody's got a certain animal companion at a young age?
And whatever you want as a pet is what you get.
I would say it would be a person's power animal.
Well, he said
whatever
you want as a pet. What if someone wants a skeleton as a pet?
Well, it better be a cute skeleton.
What if someone wants, a jellyfish as a pet? What if someone wants That's why it's unnatural. Because whatever you want, you get, even if it doesn't fit the setting, even if it doesn't fit the theme, and nobody's gonna bat an eye at it.
Now the question here is, what if someone wanted a cat girl as a pet?
Okay, Elon Musk. But whatever you want, it is the land of idealism. Whatever you want shall be granted to you.
Now I'm torn. Do I retire here or do I retire in the God Beast area?
Good question.
I think you'd have to find this place first.
Yeah, really.
Speaking of which, let's talk about culture.
Like I said, they'll only reveal themselves to you if they want something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what card did I get for culture?
Xanatrix, you got air, which means you're dealing with a commercial culture.
Oh, it's hard for them to be commercial, except with each other. Huh. What exactly does the game book want as commercial? That's the good question.
Commercial cultures place emphasis on wealth, good relationships, and mutual prosperity. They value outside influences that will expand their economies and contribute to the ease of living their citizens experience.
Well, when two cities need to meet, they meet. And it's as easy as dreams for them to meet. And they always seem to have what the other one wants. And they always become good friends because of it.
Sell kittens and puppies.
Because of this, the entire country, all of its little hidden cities that are everywhere, that nobody can see except each other, are very good friends. Again, there's no need for conflict when everything's managed. And they all have whatever fantastical elements to their homes they could dream of. Whatever grandiose sculptures in their houses that they could want. But most of all, they have each other. It's almost seen that the biggest amount of wealth in this land is who you know. So the more people you know, the wealthier you are. Just never question why you know them now.
Strangely, I just got the feeling that the motto of this country should be "Friendship is magic."
Drink.
So this is pie in the. So this is pie in the sky land.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? I always wanted a pony as a little girl. I apologize for nothing.
Of course you don't. Bronies are unapologetic.
Yep.
I've never actually seen an episode of My Little Pony.
I don't know, you're acting like one.
Hey, I like unicorn horns, but for different reasons.
Phrasing.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
All right.
I like how Mildred's just being incredibly quiet.
I think Mildred's trying not to head desk.
I'm trying.
Hey, I like snorting unicorn horn dust. What's wrong with that?
Phrasing.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Hey, I like when I see somebody fart rainbows, I get envy.
Cocaine.
All right, let's move on to Aaron and society now.
Yep. So, let's go. Let's go with society. And I believe this is on you, Aaron.
All right.
Make them fart rainbows.
So you are dealing with a society that is of the stone element, which means centralized.
Very easy. You only see one or two huge cities. He's in this place alone. It's pretty small landmass, and the only trade they do is between each other. Again, you got their AI pretty much controls everything about these two places, and again, they'll only reveal themselves if they want something from you. Otherwise, enjoy the scenery as you pass through to either Ursakelia or Kenev, whichever you're going.
Or even if you're, I'd imagine that there's these weird ports that are that have properly maintained docks, but there's no one there, in case somebody's trying to go east. With boats that would cross the ocean for them.
With nobody to man them.
Mm-hmm.
For being idealistic, these guys are kind of dicks.
Well, at least there's some light beacons leading you into the dock, so they're not totally jagoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
It's like come and go as you please. Just don't fucking pay attention to us.
Well, it kind of sounds more of like come and go as you please, but we're not selling you any food.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're kind of dicks.
They don't have to sell them food. The computer leaves food out for travelers all the time to keep them away from the cities.
Yeah,
No,
it's not. It's like, I mean, you don't want to poison someone just passing through.
I'm
Yeah,
not
so
accepting food from Hal. Do you think I'm dumb?
But this isn't an evil Hal. This is a Hal that values his citizens so much he wants them left alone.
That sounds like a perfect reason for Hal to want to kill me.
No. You see, if he kills you, that draws attention.
Yeah,
It's not going to draw attention to me if I'm dead and I never saw the city in the first place. I don't trust this Hal. I don't like Hal.
He respects the trade amongst the other places as long as they're not involved. He doesn't really give a fuck.
I'm just guessing that Hal's brother is the one that landed in the desert, and his sister is the one that's on Mount Olympus.
No, I'm thinking it's more likely that this Hal is the remnant of a god king's mind that died on Mount Olympus.
It's actually rather strange how well all of this fits together.
Everything in this continent is tied to to fucking Cortosia.
That's because of the fact that Kotortosia is the land of gods. It's going to centralize development everywhere else, and it's going to lead to unnatural development in everything around it. That's why all these unnatural things puzzle piece together so well, because there's a literal god land shaping the land.
And I want to point out I have absolutely no part in coordinating all of this.
I know, you just draw the cards.
Yes.
And the strange thing is, it actually fits together so perfectly well. It's mildly disturbing. I like it.
This is how collaboration should be.
Yep.
But we've still got one section left, and it's yours, Doku. It's Creed.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy, please give me something where I can actually... Let me at least fuck with people and be a dick.
You don't think giving them a perfect life with nothing else to aspire for isn't enough fucking with them?
Not even close.
Okay. We have light. So we have a theological creed.
Mm.
I have to ask a question before I jump into this one.
What's up?
So it's light, it's theological. It doesn't have to be good, does it?
Doesn't have to be
The
good.
description for theological is: theological civilizations have made the study of the divine into a science. Miracles are often repeatable, observable phenomenon, and the gods may walk among men and teach them directly.
And
Okay.
considering everything that the Neotech can do, and it's based off of the Great Spirit of the land, I think that, invisibility, intangibility, teleportation, all of those would be considered miracles.
Oh yes, so this actually fits into what I wanted. Alright. Terrain, I believe, is what I'm going with. Correct, Mildred?
Creed.
Creed.
Oh, Creed. Perfect. Technology, everything that does not exist within this land, everything outside of it is viewed as blasphemous. It is a threat. Anything that would challenge this world, anything that breaks the narrative, anything that is not understood, whether it's true or untrue, if it came from the outside world and it does not fit in line with how these people view the world around them, is considered evil. It's not just considered evil in the sense that you would be banished from the land. You will be strung up, tortured, demonized. You are the devil. You are evil incarnate. If you do not fall in line with how the society views things, that idealistic way of doing things suddenly turns 180 degrees. You are the devil.
And that makes sense, considering that their god can't actually talk to them and only just provides for them. It can't tell them, hey, all I want for you is peace, so please don't do anything stupid to break it.
Yes, pretty much imply that you follow it.
And if you don't, and the thing that needs to be pointed out about this culture, even if you're born into it, to go against what the culture believes to be just and right and true makes you the enemy.
Oh, so basically the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, for being such a loving culture, an accepting culture, a culture that does more than anything put an emphasis on empathy, sympathy, love, acceptance. To go against said thing, well, let's just say you're not going to have a very fun time by going against that creed or dogma. They will destroy you. They will string you up in the town square. They will torture you in the utmost abhorrent and disgusting ways possible. And they will applaud it because you're the devil. You're a demon. You are evil. You have gone against what God gave you.
So are you saying you'll hear something like this?
Oh, that would be a mercy. That would be quick. No, it would be more along the lines of, let's send you to certain fringe elements of the kingdom and see how well you do against the god beast. And oh, by the way, we'll use the technology to advertise it. They're very mean. They're very sadistic, but only against those who go against the creed. They go against the church. They go against what is, again, right and just and true. They're dogmatic. They're theological. And they are incredibly unaccepting of any sort of outside criticisms.
Okay, I'm a little worried now. Not because of that though.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can't see. Okay, is there clear light through my barrel? Please tell me there's clear light through my barrel. Because I keep the magazine in, and otherwise, the slide would have just locked back. But now I'm pulling the slide, and cartridges are coming out, and I'm very, very concerned about that.
Yeah.
Either it didn't feed, which is a concern in of itself, or it fed, and now there's a jammed cartridge. Both are bad.
Out of curiosity, what caliber of weapon are you using?
This is a 9mm Glock 19 Gen 5.
On a Glock 19 Gen 5, then take out the magazine, clear the chamber, and then
I know. I'm shining a flashlight down it. I see clear light, so there's no jammed cartridge in the chamber. It means I can safely discharge the firing pin. Okay. It was a failure to feed.
Okay, because I was going to say the worst case scenario means that the slide and the feed aren't fit properly, and that's annoying because that means you're going to have to disassemble and reassemble the weapon.
Well, I can field strip this thing in seconds. It's not hard.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, it was just a failure to feed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're good then.
Next,
Yeah.
we've got to head a little bit eastward into the Principality of Bajakia.
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 Okay. Hold on. Before I load the new magazine in, discharge firing pin.
Okay. Who wants to get the starting round?
The Principality of I Have a Pet Tiger?
Actually, I have a bit of a proposal for when we get to the Eastern Continent.
Well, we're not there yet. We're right in the middle with a island nation, and I'm going to argue that the island slightly to the west of them is under their purview as well.
Yeah, it's the same colors. It's the same modeled yellow and orange. Okay.
I say give this one to Xantrix.
All right, Xanatrix, you are starting off with terrain.
Okay. What's my draw?
Your draw is forest because you drew water.
Forests. All right. This is a nice island forest area. Okay, got it. So, because this is so far south on this map, and this seems to be the entire map, if this were on a globe, this would be the entire globe, correct?
Mm-hmm. We'll go with this is as far as the world as anybody in the setting knows.
Okay. In case we want to expand it later, got it. I'm going to say that this is a weird area. This far south we have a temperate grassland, but this is all rainforest. It's tropics. Humid, sweltering, exotic trees, exotic flora, with equally exotic fauna, I assume. Although that may change. And it's a place where in the wilderness you feel like it's untouched by time. Now, depending on the civilization that lives here, it could be completely different in the actual civilized areas. But if you're out in the forest, out where there's no civilization, or very little civilization, it feels untouched by time, as if nothing here has changed. Geographically.
All right. So next is technology, and you're getting this one, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
So we have what feels like a forest untouched by time, although I'm pretty. When it comes to forests, are we talking the kind of trees that we would see in Europe, or the kind of trees that we'd see in East Asia?
Tropical Asian areas.
All right. Oh yeah, you mentioned that it's very rainforesty, not Seattle level stuff, but Amazon.
Yes, except more middle like in the middle of Eastern Asia. Those types of tropical forests.
So basically Vietnam, right?
Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines before development, things like that. That type of forest.
All right. So, for technology, your draw is going to be Thalmix, because you drew light.
Okay, so, well, considering that this is natural Asian rainforest, I would say this technology. You say Thalmic is pretty much magical, right?
Magitech, essentially.
Yeah, it's technology based in magic. Yeah.
Well, I would say, let's go like the technology is advanced, but it looks but it's got the looks of it being primitive, like very ritualistic, very. I mean, it's not like macaroni. It's basically like they had a Nalarokia, except nowhere near as flashy. It's the complete opposite of it.
So when you say the thing that comes to mind when I'm hearing about primitive tech, especially in this sort of East Asia, is the kind of juxtaposition you saw sometimes with Japanese cyberpunk of mixing technological aspects onto traditional architecture, like having a whole lot of gadgetry around shrines.
Pretty much.
I think in this case the shrine might as well be a server unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So next is government, and this one's going to Doku. So let's see, how are they? So for government, we have stone, which means that this particular place is a kingdom.
All right, this locale, this location, and the world proper is very much isolated. They don't like outsiders. They don't like travel. They don't like trade. They are their own kingdom. And anyone who finds their way to this location is scrutinized with the utmost level of discrimination. They do not like it, period. They are their own thing. They are their own kingdom. They are their own land. Their isolation.
Would it help to find things a bit better if I gave the book's description of kingdom in this context?
Perhaps. It probably would.
All right. Kingdoms are ruled by succession, often with a charter or constitution that outlines the rules for succession and the powers of the king. A kingdom without such a constitution is effectively a tyranny, albeit one that changes hands every generation. Within the constitutional kingdom, the absolute power of the monarch to execute the law and provide for the welfare of the people is tempered by the will of the people themselves as an assembly or parliament. These two sides are often, if not always, in contention with one another, and individuals may be forced to support either the agenda of the king or the agenda of the people.
Well, in this instance, that governmental structure does stand in place and holds true, but again, only within the internal context of the kingdom. All outsiders are viewed as a potential threat to the stability of the kingdom, whether it's a threat to the people or a threat to the monarchy, or potentially both.
Would you say that you're dealing with a constitutional monarchy?
A constitutional monarchy, yes, unless the kingdom itself does feel threatened, to the sense where the threat itself is grave enough that outside help is required. But for the most part, they would be more likely to give you the middle finger and say, piss off, as opposed to accept said help.
All right. Another question. Do you think this particular kingdom would have spies within its neighboring kingdoms?
I would actually say no. They're very much distrustful of outsiders, and by extension, anyone who is an outsider is going to stand out like a sore thumb.
No, what I mean by that is, do you think they would send out spies to the neighboring countries to the east and west in order to see if those kingdoms would try something?
I would say yes, but I would also say, because they don't do it intentionally, it's more of something that happens naturally, simply because they are kind of smack in the middle of the map, and there's a lot of trade going on. They hear a lot of things, they see a lot of things, they hear a lot of people talk. It would not be uncommon for them to be aware of the outside world, which is also part of the reason that they don't really want to have anything to do with it. But they are also very, very well aware of the outside world. Almost to a degree that would make them, if a world war broke out, they would probably be extremely effective at fighting one.
Yeah. So, next is wildlife. So this insular principality, and I believe this is going to use Xanatrix.
Okay.
So so the element that you ended up drawing with this particular place is fire. So you are dealing with dire wildlife.
Dire wildlife in the middle of an island nation with an insular kingdom and shamanistic magic tech. Got it. That's pretty simple. It's dire sea life. They're an island nation. And as I said earlier, the forest, when you're outside of the civilized parts of the country, seem untouched by time. Well, that's a bit literal, in fact. A lot of the shamanistic magic has preserved the island and its status for who knows how long. And because of that, you still have things like the megalodon in the water. Very large sharks, very large predatory eels, even extremely large dolphins who take their playfulness up to 11 and will kill you by battering ramming you, thinking you want to play. On top of that, for what's on the island rather than what's in the water, you have extremely large species of apes. An orangutan the size of King Louie in the live-action version of the Jungle Book would be a good example.